Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports Show for April 30th. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. We have an absolutely loaded episode for you. We have a first-timer coming on the show. My boy, King Midas Bets, is this week's special guest. Him and I are going to look back at the betting weekend. We're going to share some MLB and NBA bets for later in the week. And Gino will have his horse racing bet of the day from the Kentucky Oats. For those watching, we need to say thank you to the sponsor, Parlay Play. If you're not using Parlay Play, go to the App Store, download the Parlay Play app, use promo code NFL Betting Blitz for a nice little deposit bonus. Now, let's shift our attention over to horse racing. Actually, huge day over at Churchill Downs with the Kentucky Oats and Kentucky Derby. Let's see what Gino has for his best bet this week.
Huge week coming up in the world of horse racing. It first starts on Friday with the Kentucky Oaks. Everything you need before you get ready for the Derby and the Oaks, you have to get to drf.com. Past performances, they have help, betting strategies, clocker reports, all the best information to make sure that you're successful on Oaks and Derby Day. Let's get to the Kentucky Oaks. What a competitive, challenging race. You can make cases for so many in here. Where's My Ring is honest, comes off of a nice win. Torpedo Anna is so logical. She comes off of a really good performance last time out. She's another one that you want to use. She's in the mix. Tarifa's the horse to beat. Hands down, she feels like she's going to run a good race. Ways and Means is the buzz horse. She's training really well in the mornings, maybe too well, and she's had trouble in the only races that she lost. What ends up happening in a race like this, though, it's so competitive, it's so contentious, there's always going to be one horse or two that kind of falls through the cracks. I think that might be Power Squeeze. So I'll give you Power Squeeze as the filly that I probably like most because of the price that she will be and her chances of winning this race. She's won 4 straight races since they stretched her out from 6 furlongs to a mile. She's just in fantastic form right now, and she never gets bet. She doesn't have flashy buyer speed figures, and she's not kind of like as sexy of a horse as some of the others in here. But that's great for us as bettors because she always just outruns her odds. Power Squeeze, look, trying to go 5 in a row. I'll give you her as my top selection and my slight pick in a really challenging edition of the Oaks. I mean, just FYI has a shot. She could run really, really well in here. But Power Squeeze with the value, hoping she's around 10-1. In the Kentucky Oaks on Friday. I'll be back with Erik later this week on Erik's podcast to talk more about the Derby and some of the other races leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Good luck. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out on social media. You can give me a follow. It's me, Gino B. If you ever have a question about horse racing, good luck this week, and hopefully we can send you in the right direction.
Make sure to give my boy Gino a follow at It's Me, Gino B on social media. Also, I will be on his podcast Wednesday night talking NFL draft. We'll be going through sharing who we thought had good drafts, bad drafts, and kind of a preview for the NFL season. Now, without further ado, let's welcome a first-timer to the show all the way from down south in Texas, my boy, King Midas Bets, a.k.a. Tyler. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Hey, man, doing good. Thanks for having me. Love going after Gino. I used to watch him on TV back in the day. So I feel blessed to be here coming after that.
I mean, so are you a horse racing fan, my friend?
So I'm not going to say that I'm a diehard, but I am a horse racing fan. Absolutely. Make it out to the track whenever I can.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Gino just kind of messaged me out of the blue during COVID, asked if I wanted to come on his podcast. Now him and I basically work together every single day, and I talk to him more than my girlfriend. So it's kind of it's kind of weird how that works.
That's great.
Now, before we jump into everything, why don't you talk about how you got into sports betting? How long have you been doing sports betting? And when did you start? When did you become on social media and doing everything by selling your picks, sharing your picks and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been betting on sports since 2003, so over 20 years now. I picked it up in college initially just because of a love of sports, grew up playing sports, huge sports fan, was watching it all the time. And I thought that, I know all about the teams. I know all about the players. I can make money sports betting, just like probably a lot of people get into sports betting the same way. I quickly learned that I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, I lost so much money. The first 5 years of me as a broke kid trying to gamble on sports was terrible. But started reading more, read books. The coming of age of the internet, sports betting helped me a lot. So many different resources out there. Being able to tail handicappers who know what they're doing and find patterns in what they do. Really honed my craft over the next 15 or so years. And then about 2020 in December is when I joined Twitter. Mainly just wanted to throw some picks out there, get some interaction going. Never, ever dreamed that I would be selling picks. Never thought I would be there. Joined in December. I had my first customer by January. And I wasn't advertising any VIP services or anything. The picks were just hitting. And he was like, hey, how can I have access to all of these? So it went from there, grew it from 0 followers to about 10,000 really quickly. College basketball that first year was amazing. Hit 13 free plays in a row. And, people follow the wins.
People like the wins, man. Anytime you can cash some tickets, people always kind of follow you. We got some comments in Brutal Beat in the Islanders game. Yeah, don't tell me about it. I had the under 1.5 in the second period, and the Islanders scored with 23 seconds left. My boy Sports Facts, dude, that was brutal, but Etoft21sports, you need to stick with live betting NHL or just bet MLB. Thank you, Sports Facts. You are my boy. Sixers, baby. We are on the Sixers plus the points and the money line. All right, here we go. Any chance the Bucks come back in this series? Now, my 2 cents is they definitely have a chance. Pacers can't defend, and because they're a young team that can't defend, if the Bucks can somehow BS their way through this game, and then you give Dame and Giannis another game, there's going to be all the pressure on the world on this young team. Pacers are coming off a game where they just shot 50%. They're due for some shot regression. That's kind of my 2 cents. Have you been watching any of the Bucks at all? Or
I'm not an NBA bettor. I watch it for fun, personally, but just I definitely agree with you. You don't want, if you're the Pacers, you don't want to let them out of this game. Don't let them get hot. But in all honesty, I don't think they're getting out of this game. The Pacers look good in the first quarter. Maybe some shot regression, but you also don't want to tell me on NBA. I'll do MLB all day and listen to you on NBA.
I mean, they're down. The Bucks are down a cool 10 points in the first quarter, with the Pacers going 7-13 from beyond the arc. RG, which team had the best draft? I was at the draft this year.
Nice.
Last 2 years, I've been lucky enough to get outsourced to do some work down there. Always a good time. I think the team that had the best draft, I'll say the Steelers. I really liked what the Steelers did with their offensive line. Brought in Roman Wilson, who's a good blocking wide receiver. Really like what they did, like what my boys the Lions did. Defensively, the back four was a need. They addressed that right away with their first 2 picks. They got 2 good guards that can come in. I think they're going to be able to play some because they did lose Jonah Jackson. And obviously the Cardinals had like 1 million picks. I think they hit on every single one of them. Got Marvin Harrison, got a pass rusher from Missouri in the first round. And then they just start stockpiling stuff in the trenches. So that was absolutely a phenomenal draft. Did you watch the NFL draft at all?
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm a draft junkie, but I definitely watch it and follow all the way through all the rounds. I hate to say that the Bears had the best draft because that's just such a cliche pick at this point, but I really do believe that. I really do believe that they address their needs. If you want to look at a team that can go from not very good to being an instant contender, what they have on offense, what they have stacked up, I think Caleb Williams is I'm not a fan of some of the antics, I'm not going to lie, but when you're talking about just raw talent that can come in and be surrounded by weapons on offense. I mean, how many guys have you seen come into the NFL? They're very talented. They get put in a terrible system. They have nothing around them. Look at Young and the Panthers last year. I mean, it didn't matter Joe Montana couldn't have done anything with that. That's not going to be the case in Chicago. I mean, you've got an offense that's ready to go. If they're going to play defense, but they're going to win some games. But I think that he's going to put up some incredible numbers for a rookie at least.
Let's make some money. What's up, boys? Oh, I hate the Lakers. Lakers are out. Where's Gino? LOL. Gino is a huge Lakers fan. A huge Lakers fan.
Love Gino, but I'm a Laker hater. Get him out of here.
Dan Kowski, is there an explanation for what the Falcons did? That's kind of my takeaway. So I'm gonna kind of jump into that. I'll do my takeaway first, and then you can do your takeaway from the weekend. I need someone to explain to me, like I'm four, what exactly the Falcons were doing. You just signed Cousins to this big 4-year contract. Now let's take a look at it. 2024, you have a $25 million cap hit if you cut him. 2025, a $40 million cap hit. 2026, a $57.5 million cap hit if you cut him. Then in 2027, it goes down to $12.5 million, and that's when you can make your move. That's when you can move off of Cousins. But the only thing is that's the 4th year. You're going to have to give Penix that 5th year money, and you literally have no idea what he is. Windows in the NFL can close fast, and your pressing needs were defensive line, pass rusher, and back four. When you picked in the draft, Atlanta Falcons, literally you had your pick of anyone on the defensive end. And you went with a quarterback with 2 bad knees that's not going to play for 4 more years. And then in the 2nd round, you have Jeff Newton, who's somehow still on the board. Some people had Newton over Murphy from Texas as their top defensive lineman. And you went with, I'm totally going to butcher this name, Orahoro. Like, what is going on here? You had a chance to save face. Your biggest need was you need to be able to create pressure, and you drafted Braylon Trice with Dallas Turner still on the table. Latato, I butchered that name too, from UCLA still on the board. I just don't understand what they were doing, and I really feel like in 5 years, there needs to be like one of those 30 for 30, one of those Netflix stocks, exactly what the hell the Atlanta Falcons were doing, because they had a chance to be something this year. That was one of those teams I kind of had circled, win total over, bet the South, maybe put a little future on to make it to the Super Bowl. Now this is going to be a team I'm completely out on. My hands are wiped. And we need to remember, this is a team that could have hired Bill Belichick, but you went with Raheem Morris as your coach. So I have no idea what the Falcons are doing. That's my takeaway from the weekend. Tyler, what is your takeaway from the weekend, my friend?
Well, I'm glad I didn't pick that, because that was almost my exact take, and that would have been really boring for everybody to hear it twice. But I completely agree with everything that you said. It's the most unexplainable thing. I'm sitting here watching on my couch. My phone starts blowing up that they're going to pick a quarterback. And I just could not believe it. I thought it was just internet rumors. This is, everybody's going to have their 5 minutes of fun with this. And they really did it. I could not believe it. And, if you're Cousins, you're just sitting there thinking, perfect opportunity to get me some help. And it's a team that's not that far away if you draft right. And they have to be thinking that it's going to be a Steve Young taking over for Joe Montana situation, and Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre situation. But the way that you explained it with the finances of it, it's not going to work out that way. But I'll move on to my takeaways. I'm going to switch over to MLB, and I try to tell the story that I feel like is not getting enough media attention that might be able to help some people out with betting. MLB teams can be very streaky, and when the Yankees get hot, everybody takes notice. But the Twins over the weekend, and then yesterday, I believe as well, they ran their win streak up to 8 straight games, and I don't feel like that was really getting a lot of media attention. And I understand it's April baseball, but the Twins running off 8 straight definitely caught my eye. They're currently winning in the bottom of the 8th right now, 5-4 over the White Sox. Team to keep an eye on. Interestingly enough, they started off so slow this year that they're only 4th in the Central, and that's combined with the Royals' hot start, things like that. But there could be some opportunities with the Twins in the near future. They're probably not near as bad as they started the year. On the flip side, that's who's hot, who's not, is the Marlins. They just lost their 7th game in a row, and I think they actually pulled out a win tonight after I wrote that down. I'm checking right now. They did pull out a 10th inning win at home over the dreadful Rockies. So they finally snapped their 7-game losing streak. But I want people to think of the Marlins. The A's got a lot of attention last year for just being awful, instant fade material a lot of nights. The Rockies and the White Sox are getting a lot of that attention this year. People really need to start looking at the Marlins as a team that they can absolutely fade consistently before the lines get out of control. We know that when the media attention and the bettors' attention turns towards those awful teams, you're going to start seeing lines minus 250 against them. But you're not going to see that right now. You're going to get better opportunities. So, of course, you have to look at the pitching matchups, pick your spots, and all of that. But I would definitely be taking a look at the Twins pretty often right now, probably better than people think, and I'd be eyeing the Marlins as fade material.
They have that pitcher. God, he had a tall lefty guy coming out of the pen last year. I was so high on him because he looked so good in spring ball.
Name escapes me, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
I was so high on this kid. I bet him the first 2 starts, and he got completely
Let's see if I can
boat raced. All right, here we go. Let's make some money. What's your take on Jackson Holiday? Is he a bust?
Too early to tell, man.
He's 20. He's freaking 20. And any major league player going up there is going to struggle with the curve. It's just one of those things. I think they brought him up a little too early. My boy Bobby and I are supposed to go to the Bucks game if it makes it to a game 7. So much for the Bucks game 7. Dave Kozak chimes in. Cubs keep chugging along with all the injuries. Do they have any chance in winning the division?
Well, I'm gonna say absolutely. The Cubs have a chance at winning the division. I mean, who else is going to win it? That's the key. I mean, the Cardinals are awful. They're not going to get any better. The Pirates are going to fade the way they always do. I'm not a believer in the Reds. Who's going to knock the Cubs off this year? They're playing great ball, and they've got 2 of their best players hurt.
Don't knock my Brewers, man. Don't knock my Brewers, dude. They're right up the road from me.
Where's their manager now? Oh yeah, with us. So, I mean, it's.
I will say this to everybody. Today, the Brewers did call up Tyler Black, 3rd best prospect they have. I think it was the 19th, 21st pick in the 2001 MLB draft. As soon as he goes, as soon as he's in the lineup, I would definitely look to play his props, his over. Now we're at the part of the show where we're going to talk some betting. Always one of my favorite parts. We each are going to have 3 bets. King, you're the guest, man. The guest always.
Want me to kick it off?
You kick it off, my friend.
All right. Well, we're gonna do MLB only on my picks. So for people that don't follow me, I do MLB, college football, NFL, college basketball. And doesn't mean I'm not interested in other sports. I watch other sports, but I figured out what I'm good at. And those are probably the most number-driven sports. So I'm going to stick with baseball, kind of previewed the Twins a little bit in my who's hot and who's not. And I'm going to stick with the Twins tomorrow. The Twins, I'm going -1.5. And then you should be able to get that right around -120. Ober, their pitcher, he's given up 4 runs in his last 24.1 innings. So great time to jump on there. They're playing the White Sox. The White Sox are basically just a AAA team. Their pitcher tomorrow's Flexen. He's actually pitched pretty well in his last 3 outings, which is probably going to give us the opportunity to get a little bit better line on them. However, he's not eating a lot of innings, and so the Twins are going to get a lot of opportunities against a terrible White Sox team and against their bullpen. And something to consider on a -1.5. We're always guaranteed that 9th inning at bat because we're the away team. So don't always love the -1.5 when we got a home team, but I think there's a lot of value on the Twins tomorrow, especially considering people might be looking at Flexen saying he's going to keep the White Sox in there. And in reality, 5-6 innings against their bullpen, it's not going to matter.
Let's make some money. Give me a dark horse World Series team to bet.
Yeah. It's so hard with the expanded playoff format. Really, anything can happen. I think you're smart to actually want to go with a dark horse, but I'm not a huge future better guy. Honestly, I don't love tying my money up for 8 months. I like to narrow down my bets to like the most individual focus that I can get, even if it means taking a first five, or a team total, something like that. But I'm gonna go. I don't know. Who do you have? Let me think about that for a minute.
So my futures, pre-flop, I took the Tigers. I'm a homer. I took them to win the Central at plus 400. I'm sitting on them at a pretty big price to win the World Series, even though I know that's realistically probably is not going to happen. I also took the Brewers to win it all. I think the Brewers have the best relief pitching and the best defense. They have some young hitters coming up. I got them about 55-1. How do you feel about them?
I don't hate it. I mean, anytime you're getting something like 55-1, you have so many opportunities. If they win a couple, like if they make the playoffs and win a couple of rounds, you can hedge out of that, even if you are out of part of that, and lock in a huge amount of profit. They're playing well. I certainly can't dog the pick. I don't think they're going to win the division, honestly. But these days, that doesn't mean they won't make the playoffs. They're sitting at 17-11. I mean, it's hard to knock it. I was going to do something interesting. If you were going to talk about betting it right now, what could you get the Astros at? I mean, that's still a stacked lineup and tons of playoff experience, and they're horrible. So, tough division. But
they're plus 260 to win the West.
I mean, I would want some long odds on them, but
yeah, I mean, for them to win it all, I mean, I think that'd be a great bet. You know, Verlander's coming back. He definitely, he's 40 now. That's going to be the big thing. He's over 40 now. Is he going to be able to hold up? But you know what? He's back. He's looking good. Bats are starting to come along. So yeah, I like that bet. Maybe the Mariners got some young live arms. I look to them. It's hard because we can't find any prices right now. No prices are up. Prices will be up after the night's game. So it's really hard for us to kind of give any price. Maybe the Twins. If you could find the Twins at 50-1 or higher, would that be a team you want to invest in?
Yeah. And when I do bet futures, I'm looking for long odds, number one, and I'm looking for something that they can win a couple rounds in the playoffs and I can lock in profit. Doesn't mean I'm going to hedge out of the entire thing. I'm going to be able to take some off the table, fading them in a series in the playoffs. But the Twins would be a good candidate in my mind because they could very realistically win the division, get into the playoffs. You can lock in profit, leave some on the table to where if they do go on a crazy run and you hit it at 40-1 or something, is an amazing bet.
And you always want to be in a position to make yourself money. I got Thunder. I'm sitting on the Thunder 100-1 to win it all.
That's an amazing bet.
So, I'm only going to be able to hedge out of money. Plus, I have the Clippers at 20-1. So if the Clippers are able to get through the Mavericks, I am guaranteed to have one team that's going to be in the Western Conference Final. And that right there, math-wise, that's just an easy hedge.
Yeah, the math becomes great on that for you.
My next bet, and I'm swinging for the fences here. Give me the Miami Heat plus 14. And you know what? We're also going to do one of those little sprinkles on the Miami Heat money line at plus 700. Heat are due for some positive shooting regression. They were the 12th best three-point shooting team in the NBA and are coming off a game where they shot only 27% from three. So they're due for some positive shooting regression. Spoelstra is the best coach ATS the last 20 years in the playoffs, 57% ATS. Off of a loss, he's 65% ATS. Off of back-to-back losses, he's 59% ATS. So all the trends here are telling me to bet on Spoel and the Miami Heat. Porzingis is hurt. He's out. He's not going to be playing. This is huge because when you look at Bam's stats per StatMuse, he does very well against Al Horford. This is going to force the Celtics to double more, thus leading to more open threes for the Heat. Also, when you look at the numbers, Tatum, Brown, and White, all their pick and roll numbers are down when they do the pick and roll with Al Horford compared to Porzingis. So it's going to make defense a little bit easier for the Miami Heat. Also, what have the Celtics shown us? That they don't piece together wins. Since 2021, after they've won a game by 10 or more points, the following game, they are 10-15, 40% ATS, and have lost 7 of their last 12. Kind of a mind-blowing stat there when you say it out loud. Also, that's one of the reasons why I'm sprinkling on the money line. Plus, there's also this trend in the NBA playoffs. When a team wins, they cover. Mm-hmm. So, last week we hit the Heat at plus 14.5, and we didn't play the money line. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to go back to the well. Give me the Heat plus 14. And also, I'm playing the plus 700 on the money line.
I like it.
Shoot or shoot. Shoot or shoot. And hey, I'm just letting you know, dude, my Brewers just won 8-2 against the Rays. I'm just saying, dude. Big win.
They're playing well. I'll give them credit. I didn't think they were going to have enough firepower this year. Obviously, a change at manager. They're playing better than I expected.
Next bet, we're staying on the diamond. We are going to the Phillies. Tell us why you like the Phillies first 5 here, -0.5 at -130. -130.
So kind of as like I alluded to when I was saying I don't do a lot of futures. Futures, that's like the most wide bet that you could possibly make, right? And I really like to narrow things down and look at scenarios that I'm trying to take advantage of. And that includes a lot of first 5 action if I like a certain pitching matchup. And then I take the bullpens out of play, for example. And then if you go -0.5, for people that aren't, I know it's a little bit of a weird bet. For people that aren't familiar with it, it just means that, your team has to be ahead at the end of the first 5 innings. If it's a tie, then you would lose that bet. But what I'm able to do usually is knock 40, 50 points of juice off of that. And when I think about MLB betting, I try to be very aware of juice, very rarely go over -150. If the line I want is over -150, I'm probably going to try to find a different way to bet it. Same like with my first Twins -1.5 bet. In this game, I'm going with the Phillies because Wheeler's starting. Wheeler, his last 2 starts has been lights out. He allowed 1 hit 2 starts ago. He allowed 1 hit in his last start. And he's facing Sandoval. Sandoval just allows so many base runners. I mean, it's almost impossible to win when you allow as many base runners as him. I had to write down some of the stats. They're almost unbelievable. He didn't pitch that many innings in his last game. He gave up 9 hits. The game before that, he gave up 6 hits plus 5 walks. So just in his half game pitched, he allowed, not counting any errors or anything, 11 base runners. It is almost impossible to win baseball games if you were just constantly putting the other team in that position to succeed. Additionally, the Phillies have been a very good road team. They're playing a bad home team. And the Angels they're not very good. If you look up and down their lineup, you're probably going to know 2 names. And they've won 2 out of their last 10 games. They're really struggling. So when you look at all that and combine it together and say we're getting -113 on that, I think there's a ton of value. And MLB betting it's a marathon. I tell that to my VIPs all the time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And we're going to bet probably 500 games before it's all said and done. I've already bet 108 games this year. Oh, and wow. So, yeah, I'm 64, 43, and 2. So whatever that adds up to, it's over 100 games. It's all about finding value. If you're chasing the -175, 180 all the time, you're not going to come out ahead after all those hundreds of bets. So that's why I'm on the Phillies. Love the starting pitching matchup, and I feel like this is the best way to take advantage of it in terms of minimizing the amount of juice.
A couple questions in the good old chat room. Sports Facts. Do you ever bet player props?
I don't. I'm not against it. I've seen guys that crush it, but I don't. No. I actually got away from it when I was kind of side betting some NBA stuff, and it really turned me off to it. Guys play 5 minutes, and it's just too much risk.
My boy Dan chimes in. Is Wheeler the new Nola? Now you have to know the backstory here. when Aaron Nola came up, he was a truck with his strikeout props, first five, and game lines, and alternate -1.5. Because he just literally, when he first came out from LSU, he came out of nowhere. And Dan is one of my guys, and we were riding Aaron Nola. Wheeler is pretty solid. He's their number one now. Nola is the number two. I hate the Lakers. Ask Gino what moves the Lakers should do. And does LeBron resign? Plus, if he was a GM, who would he want the point guard to be? All right, here we go. Dave Kozak, White Sox are awful. Time to sell the team. I agree 100% with that. It's kind of interesting because they're pitching now to get a new stadium near the lakefront. That's where they want to move, near the lakefront. And right now, like I live in the suburbs. I live on the north side. I live on the northern suburbs. To get to the White Sox game is a pain in the ass. Like honestly, straight up for me, it's easier to go up to Milwaukee to watch a game.
Yeah.
So my player prop, give me Derek White under 15.5 points. I say it all the time. Gambling's about buying low and selling high, and I'm selling high on Derek White's point total. The first 3 games of the series, it was priced at 12.5. Now, after coming off his playoff career high, it's been inflated by 3 points to the over at 15.5. This is a market reaction, and I'm buying back against the market, and I'm going to play the under. He's only gone over this total in 32 of 82 games this season. In the last game, he shot 53% from three-point land on Monday. He's only a 39% three-point shooter for the year, 36% three-point shooter for his career, so he's due for some negative shot regression. So I'm just playing the regression here. I am taking the under 15.5 points for Derek White, and it may be a thing tonight. I had Jalen Brunson under 34.5 points. Tyrese Maxey hit a 3-pointer to force overtime. And it was one of those things like, if I had to say which bet I wanted to lose out of the 3 bets I had Sixers plus the 4.5 plus 145 Brunson under. It obviously be Brunson under, but as a bettor, we're all selfish. We want to win every goddamn bet. So it is what it is. I like it. I think he's due for some negative shooting regression. And when you look at the way the Heat are going to be able to play defense, slacking off of Horford and not having White, Tatum, Brown, and Crew try to beat him, I think they make Al Horford try to beat him. So I like Derek White under the 15.5 points. Next one, we are going to H-Town, my friend. Tell me why you like the Houston Astros here. First 5 -1/2.
Should be Verlander on the mound tomorrow, and he's been good. He's been back for a couple starts. He's been looking good, and really, baseball, so much of it, especially if you're going to go with the first 5 bets, about betting the starting pitching matchup, right? And so many novice bettors look at who just the hot team is or the better team, and they look at a team like the Guardians, for example, and they're off to a hot start, and the Astros are just off to an awful start. And so the betting public is just very easily swayed by that, because there's so many people. The prevalence of sports betting now, everybody with a phone can bet for the most part, and this team has a better record than that team. I'm going to hit them. It's obviously a little bit more complicated than that. I think Verlander, if he's gonna fade, it's going to be later in the season. Right now, he's 41 years old. He's coming in looking good. The Astros are very motivated. They need wins right now. They're at home. And then they're facing a pitcher, McKenzie, who is very similar to the pitcher that I mentioned previously in allowing base runners. He is constantly pitching out of trouble. He allows a ton of hits. He allows a ton of walks. If you just go look up his walk stat, it's almost absurd. And then you're going to face a team that hits really well at home. Typically, you're in a ballpark where if you get in trouble, they can make you pay. That short left field, they can make you pay at any moment. It is an unforgiving ballpark for pitchers that allow a lot of base runners. And Verlander knows exactly what to do when he's in that park. He's pitching well, and McKenzie it's going to be a long night for him. We go with the first 5 -1/2 again. despite the Astros' bad start, they were still pretty significant favorites in this, especially on the top 5. I think the word is out on McKenzie, and it wouldn't even surprise me if he's not in the. People will come at me for this one. It wouldn't surprise me if he's not in the bigs at the end of the year. I don't know about his options or anything. I haven't looked into it that significantly, but just gut reaction of what I've watched him pitch a lot this year. His ERA is way better than it should be. I mean, he's been a magician coming out of some situations that long term, if he continues to do that, his ERA is going to be through the roof. I mean, absolutely through the roof. His ERA right now, let's see where they're at. He's at 4.91. There's absolutely no way that's going to – if you look at his WHIP, which is a big indicator of how many base runners he's allowing, he's at a 1.68. If you're trying to live in that range, you're going to get smashed. He has 18 strikeouts on the year, 17 walks. Awful. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at a guy like Verlander, he's only started a couple games. He's at 11 Ks, 4 walks, 1.06 WHIP versus.
I love this. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'll probably get on this bet too. I absolutely love this bet.
They're gonna smash him.
Have you ever been to Minute Maid? That's one of the parks I always wanted to go to.
Yeah, I've been there probably 100 times.
Oh no shit! How is it?
Yeah, I like it personally. I like it. It's downtown in Houston. So you got bars and restaurants that are very walkable. The stadium's 25-ish years old now. They built it when I was in high school. I'm a Cubs fan, right? In Texas, they used to play in the same division as the Cubs before they switched over to the AL. And so I would just go for the entire series a lot. I like it. The crowds get pretty rowdy. They like to drink beer. And they're not like super aggressive towards opposing fans. Maybe if you're like Dodgers or I've seen some Yankee crowds or the Rangers come in, get a little chippy, but for like the Cubs, they're fine. I honestly have a good time. Tickets are fairly priced, and I definitely recommend it.
I have never been there. That's definitely on the list. I have been. God, I'm trying to think. There's so many new stadiums that I have so many more I got to go to. The one I definitely want to go to a game in Seattle. I want to go to a game in San Francisco. Yep. Those are kind of entertaining places to me. I like going up to the Brewers game just because in right field they actually have Top Golf going on, so you can be playing golf and like looking over the field and see it. And then if you don't want to do it, they have boxes up there, so it's like you're in a box, but you play general admission to get in. And I'll tell you what, Wrigley. When I first got here, Wrigley was great, but now it's just a pain in the ass. Now it's just a pain in the ass. When I first got here, I loved Wrigley. It's a pain in the ass now.
I mean, I stay downtown, take the red line, get off right at the stadium. Don't have to deal with parking.
But here's the thing. Like for me to go to the game, I got to drive all the way down to Northwestern.
Yep.
Take the L. I think it was like the blue line. Transfer over to the purple line. Get out by the stadium. And then I need to be sober enough when I come home to do all that.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's an hour at minimum for me to get home. Like now, if I lived in the city or if I was insanely younger, no problem. But now I'm an old man now, man. I'm old, dude. You know, I'm old. All the fun. I'm not, how can I word this? I'm not as ambitious as I used to be. Sports Facts chimes in. I saw your rant online about same game parlays, but you never explained why you didn't like them at Etoft21sports. So this is why I don't like same game parlays. The book is selling you on a lotto ticket, and if you punched in the odds in a parlay calculator of the bets they are giving you, they're less if they're just regular bets, if that makes sense. So you're not getting true value if you do a same game parlays. So next time you see one, just push in and you're going to be amazed. I had one of the guys that always hits me up for bets put in a same game parlay. He goes, "What do you see of this?" And they're giving him, I think it was like plus 1,800 odds. And he was insane about it. And I sent him a screenshot of a parlay calculator, which is easy to find. Just Google search parlay calculator. I went and I looked at all the prices. I put them in. It should have been plus 3,200. So they're selling you on a lotto ticket and giving you a shitty price. There's a reason why the books promote the shit out of these, because they want you to do them. Gambling, what I don't really feel people understand, as much as it is about sports, you got to know math. You got to know break-even points. And if you can get that and then mix in the sports stuff, you're going to be doing good. And that's why I like Tyler, because that's what Tyler is able to do. He's a lot like myself. We look at the sports, but we also look at the math, and then we make some money.
You can make a living on this and not know anything about sports. If you know math and you know the right way to crunch the numbers, some of the best sports betting guys out there, guys that I highly respect, don't know crap about sports. They know enough about sports to run the right numbers and have their algorithms spit out their plays, but they're math guys. There's math professors out there that can do this. I mean, I enjoy sports. I do it for fun. So I watch the sports, I watch the games and all of that. I'm not trying to turn this into like a math nerd show, but if you don't know math, or just the basics of betting and value, long term, if you want to be a long-term winner, you have no chance. You have to know at least basic math and where they're screwing you over, and when there's opportunity. And if you bet straight bets, there's no chance for them to play games with you. Yeah. I'm not saying parlays are a bad deal, but when you get into all the different options out there with the teasers and the parlays, there's lots of ways books can play games to suck value out. If you bet straight bets, they cannot mess with you. You know exactly what you're getting.
There is nothing wrong with a straight bet. I do straight bets all the effing time. And another thing that pisses me off is when we see these people bitch and whine when one of their players they had a freaking player prop with got hurt, and they want the free. They
want it back. They want the money back.
Like, I've been in this game for a while. Now, I don't know if you did anything at 5 Dimes back in the day. Okay, 5 Dimes, online book, Big Tony, rest his soul. He's dead. Him and I got into it once about correlated. So what I would do when I first started out is if I liked, like back when the Ducks had Chip Kelly as their coach, and they played one of those weaker schools, and then Baylor when they had oh my God, who's it?
Art Briles.
Yeah, when they had him. What I would do is I would parlay the minus X for the first half and the over, because if one of them's going to hit, the other one's going to hit.
Right.
I did that like 3 weeks in a row with those two teams. Tony axed it, and then I called in, and then he was like, dude, you're going to stop doing this, or me and my boys are going to show up at your door. Okay, you live at he rattled off my address. He started rattling off all these facts about me, and I was like, okay, dude, you got me. You got me. Big Tony would absolutely shit on these kids that are doing all this whining about, oh, my guy got hurt. It's part of the game. Grow up.
Okay, so let's think about it from the other perspective. Let's say you had the over, a player prop over, and your guy got hurt 5 minutes into the game. They paid all those people the under, right? All the people that had under on the same thing got paid.
Exactly.
So if you want to get your money back on the over, who's paying those guys on the under? You're asking the book to just take a massive L because it makes no business. Like, that's just not. I don't want to say I hate the books, but like, I'm here to beat the books. I'm here to help people beat the books, either through winning picks or through education. But make it make sense. You know, if you're going to pay out all the people who had the under, who's going to pay for it? It has to come from the people at the end of the day.
It's a business. And I really think, like, the thing you just said that people don't realize is when we post bets and we do stuff, it's not hypothetically, let's say tomorrow I take the Guardians. Sorry, I almost called them the Indians. I take the Guardians, you're on the Astros first 5. Right. If I lose or you lose, we're not paying each other. The book is paying us. So it's not us against each other. It's us against the sports book. Right. And I really wish, like, as gamblers, we'd understand that and not get so pissy when someone has another bet as us. Personally, my favorite thing is when I bet against someone's favorite team and then my DMs just get blown up. It's like, dude, I'm sorry. I don't hate your team. I see value in betting against them. I can go on so many rants with this stuff. My last bet, I'm going Paul George under 24.5 points. Again, buying low, selling high. Paul George is coming off his 6th best playoff game ever. I have to bet his under here. Last time he went over this total in a playoff game was June 28th, 2001. I also expect he's going to be guarding Luka. I look for Luka to attack him. This could lead to him getting foul trouble, plus him to be tired because of how much energy he's going to have to play defensively. Due for some shooting regression, coming off a 7 for 10 3-point land performance. He's only a 38% 3-point shooter for his career. When you look at the games the Clippers have won, game 1 and game 4, it was heavy pick and roll action, which led to open looks, getting Zubac involved. Games 2 and 3, it was more iso ball, more one-on-one stuff. I expect Kidd to go out of his way to take the pick and roll away from the Clippers, force the Clippers to do more iso ball. This is going to lead to not many good looks. And when it's iso ball for the Clips, let's face it, it's mainly Harden going to the rack. I'm going to bet the shot regression. I'm going to bet the adjustments. I'm going to take Paul George under the 24.5 points. There you have it, guys. Whew.
I'm sold.
Just to recap, Tyler is on the Twins -1.5 at -120. I am on the Heat +14 and the money line of +700. Tyler's on the Phillies first 5 -0.5 -113. Derek White under 15.5 points for my bet. Tyler's last bet is the Astros -0.5 -120 for the first 5. And lastly, we're going PG-13. Paul George under 24.5. Cool Kev is chiming in. Cool Kev, what is up, my friend? How have you been? That is it for this week's show. I'd like to thank Tyler for coming on. Tyler, why don't you tell everybody? Oh, here we go. It's Load Management Leonard playing. LOL. No, Load Management Leonard is not playing for the Clippers. Tyler, I'd like to thank you for coming on, talking some shop. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media and the best way to get a hold of you if they're interested in any of your packages?
I live on Twitter. Now it's hard for me to call it X. I'm at King Midas Bets. I'm really trying to do better, just like my man right here, of being on all the different platforms. I'm unsuccessful at that so far. I'm on Twitter every day. I get on there at least 10 times a day. If you need to hit me up, hit me up. I give out free plays, usually give out a couple a week. I'm at about, in 2024, I think I'm at 39 wins and 17 losses on free plays, giving those out to anybody that wants them. All you got to do is follow along on Twitter. And then all my VIP info is in my bio. If you want all the plays, $40 a month, $15 a week, sent straight to your email or text messages, whatever you want. But like I said, free plays. Can't get better than free plays. I gave in 3 tonight.
Free is free, my friend. That's the first word.
Free.
That's the first word my parents taught me was free. David Kozak, great show, gentlemen. Cool Kev. Tyler bet horses question.
Yeah, you don't want go stick to Gino on horses, man. I the day I start giving out horses, it becomes a job. I bet them for fun.
Cool Kev, check out Gino. Gino is working overtime for DRF. He's going to have a podcast come out where he's going to go race by race. Always, you can DM me and I can share with you what Gino and I are betting for that. So shoot me a DM there, Cool Kev, on Instagram. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, everyone in the chat room. Cool Kev, Dave Kozak, RG, NAA86, Sports Facts, Let's Make Some Money. I hate the Lakers. All of you for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Also, let's make some money. Let's cash some tickets. Until next week, boys and girls.